Confidence is great, isn't it? Unfortunately, I've always been a shy fucker. I'm the guy that turns up at your party, you know, that awkward sod that stands in the corner and doesn't say anything all night. That's me. And I was worse in my 20s. In 1989, I was working in the town of Ayr on the west coast of Scotland. Now, Ayr is famous for two things. It's a vacation town, and it's a town where the national poet of Scotland, Robert Burns, was born. Now, I was there working on a bridge. And on the first day, we ripped up the roadway of the bridge, and we found all these cobblestones. And the guy from the council was like, we're just going to chuck them away. But builders being builders, we decided we could make some money. So me and this other guy, Jim, we collected all the cobblestones and stuck them in the back of a van. And then we drove them down to a local salvage yard where we sold them for a tidy profit. And on the road back to the building site, Jim turns to me and says, Mick, you know those 30 cobblestones? The ones we couldn't sell? I think I know a way we can sell them. Do you fancy meet me in the pub after work? And I'm a Glaswegian, so I always fancy going to the pub after work. So, me and Jim are in the pub, standing at the bar, and Jim pulls out a cobblestone and sticks it in the bar in front of me and says, what does that look like to you? And I look at the cobblestone and I'm like, a horseshoe maybe? And he's like, exactly, and that's how we're going to sell them to the punters. And I'm like, Jim, nobody's going to buy a dirty old cobblestone. And he's like, have you ever heard of the poem called Tam O'Shanter? And I'm like, no. And he's like, well, Robbie Burns wrote this poem about this guy called Tam O'Shanter. He goes out in the piss in Ayr one night, and he's riding his horse home, and he bumps into a whole load of witches, and the devil, God knows what he'd been drinking. And then he's so frightened he gallops off on his horse, and the devil and the witches chase him down the street, and he escapes by riding over the very bridge that we're working on. So I'm like, that's all very colourful, Jim, but I still don't see how we're going to sell the cobbles. And he says, well, what we tell the punters is these horseshoe marks were made by Tam O'Shanter's horse. I'm like, Jim, it was fiction. The horse never existed. Who's going to pay for that? Jim says, watch me. And he picks up the cobblestone and walks off. So I'm standing there drinking my pint. 2 minutes later, Jim comes back, slaps 20 quid in the bar. He's like, I told you, it's so easy. All the guys in this pub, they've dropped their wife and they're weighing off at the beach this morning, and they've been sitting here all day getting pissed. He said, it's so easy, in fact. You're going to sell the next one. At this point, I protest. I'm like, Jim, I'm a socialist. I can't be ripping off working class guys. He says, aye, but I know you're a Celtic fan. And he's like, and this is a Rangers pub. Everybody in here are Rangers fans. You would rip off a Rangers fan, wouldn't you? And I was like, aye. So I grabbed the cobblestone and I walked to the bar. And there's an old guy standing there holding forth with the barman. And he says to the barman, aye, the Rangers are going to kill these Celtic bastards this year in the cup. And then he starts talking about his wife and how him and his wife are down here on holiday. And his wife's a mad, keen Burns fan. And how she's away on a Robert Burns tour around all the sites. And I see my in. And I sidle up to him and I go, oh, Jen, how would your wife like a cobblestone with a horseshoe mark on it made by Tam O'Shanter's actual horse? And 2 minutes later, I'm walking back to Jim with 20 quid in my hand. And Jim looks at me and looks at the 20 quid and goes, come on. And we walk out the bar and he says, I'll take one end of the street, you take the other. We'll work our way back here and I'll see you in here in an hour. So folks, that's what we did. We were in and out at every bar in the street selling cobblestones to drunk Rangers fans. We get back to the bar about an hour later and we're cackling over the amount of money we've made. And as we sit there, Jim suddenly points to a guy at the end of the bar and he says, Mick, you see that guy with the blue shirt on? And I'm like, aye. He says, I know that guy. That guy's an idiot. He'll definitely buy a cobblestone. But I can't sell it to him. He'll recognise me. You're going to have to do it. So I pick the cobblestone up and confidently walk over to the guy. And I see he's got his racing paper open. We start talking about the horse racing. Then we're talking about soccer. And then I find out he's a local guy. And I tell him start telling him about Tam O'Shanter. Then I pull out the cobblestone and I'm like, aye, me and my mate, we've been selling these to American tourists today, 50 quid a pop. This is the last one. I can let you have this for 20 quid. And he's falling for it. And he's pulling out his wallet and he's opening it. And it's a fucking police ID. And he says to me, we've had several calls today from angry women complaining that their husbands have been duped out of money. And I'm just sitting there, and he goes on and he says, I want you to stand up and turn around and put your hands behind your back so I can cuff you. And all I'm thinking is, fuck, my mum and dad are going to fucking kill me. And I'm standing up, and I'm putting my hands behind my back, and I can hear the metallic clink as he pulls the handcuffs out. And then Jim appears in front of me, and he's got a smile on his face, and he starts to laugh, and the guy behind me starts to laugh, and Jim's howling, and the guy behind me's howling as well. And then Jim says to me, McVey, you gullible fucker, I can't believe you're falling for this. This is my mate Greg. And there's an overwhelming feeling of relief, followed by an overwhelming feeling of anger. And I punch Jim as hard as I can in the face, and he falls on the ground. And I pull my wallet out, and I pull out a big wad of £20 notes, and I stick them in a charity box in the bar, and I walk out the bar. Now, folks, I'm a lot more streetwise these days. I don't fall for frauds, and I don't follow arseholes or Donald Trump types. And neither should you. Thank you.
Hold up.